So you're stuck on a property.
This is public property. This is owned by the municipality.
Okay, and there's something called defiant trespassing.
On public property?
You go into the building.
That's public property as well.
Okay, sir, listen.
Why am I being banned from going in the building?
Explain to you. You don't want to talk? I'm not going to talk to you. Okay?
I just asked you a question. Can I have your badge number and your name, please?
You can read my name.
You could also spell it out for me, too.
My First and Fourth Amendment rights were violated. Don't touch me.
Either get out or you're going to get locked up.
Escorted out.
Record it. Officer, please don't touch me.
Sir, you're being escorted out.
Thank you. You guys are absolutely...
Wow. Evidently that was edited quite a bit. You could tell by the back and forth and the additional voices put in there. Go ahead and take a look at that video over on BuzzPo and read the write-up there. Quite interesting. But I'm sure there's more background to that story there. Go and see if we can find... for people to actually talk to those involved to find out exactly what was going on. But that's eye-raising. A police officer flat out saying, if the president isn't going to follow the Constitution, we don't have to follow it either. That should scare you. And that police officer may very well have been kind of right-leaning and trying to make a bit of a statement. But that notwithstanding, an oath to the Constitution should be upheld. If somebody else is not upholding it, that's not an excuse for you to violate your oath. I held my oath for 24 years of military service. And I saw people violating their oath all the time. I called them on it, especially when I was lower ranking. It kind of got me, I won't say in trouble, but it didn't help my career progression. We'll put it that way. May have slowed it a little bit. My candor, which later on actually became very much a positive force in my career. So it slowed me at first and accelerated me later on. But seeing people violate their oath to the Constitution, does not give you, if you've taken such an oath, license to do the same. It's just that simple. Now, if you took an oath to somebody else who is supporting and defending the Constitution, and then they violate it, well, that's a different story. But my oath was first to the Constitution, and then to the leaders appointed over me. So, have to remember where that loyalty laid, or still lies, I should say. But real quick, the person who made the comment, the accidental statement about Obama coming from Kenya, was Jansing over on NBC. So she still is an MSNBC contributor or personality. So just to clarify that, her name is Chris Jansing. Now, from what I understand, later on she said it was an up. She meant to say that his father came from Kenya, but yeah, okay. But yeah, interesting times. Speaking of other interesting times, let's go a little bit towards the lighter side of things. Y'all know who, of course, Angelina Jolie is, right? Everybody knows who she is. If you don't know who she is, go and watch the Tomb Raider films from when she was younger. Go see the movie with her first husband called Hackers. And then to kind of get a full kind of glimpse of her career as it's progressed, go and see Maleficent. Maleficent, by the way, is a great movie. Great movie even for kids. I mean, I know it's rated PG, but it's not that bad. Yeah, your kids can see it. It's barely a PG. May as well be a G. Especially when you look at a lot of the animated films that came out recently. A lot of them are rated PG as well. And when you sit there and look at them, they're made specifically for kids. Where they're getting the PG rating from, I think it's probably just to sell tickets. Because who wants to go see a G-rated movie, right? Well, if that G-rated movie was Maleficent, I'd go see it. It's a good movie. Anyway, that's Angelina Jolie. Most people, well, I shouldn't say most. There's some people who don't realize that her father is a big-name actor. And Angelina Jolie, I would be willing to guess, leans a little bit right in her political ideology. But she's really smart about keeping her mouth shut, especially given what her job is. She's not very political in her rhetoric, at least not nowadays. And her husband, Brad Pitt, is kind of the same way. So they're relatively apolitical as far as their public personas go, which is, like I said, probably smart. But Angelina Jolie's father is, well, he's already established. He's already had his career. He's already at a point where he could be retired if he wanted to be, or work if he wanted to be. He's made his name and made his millions. He got nothing to lose. So knowing that, he wants to see the world to be a better place for his grandchildren, he opens his mouth. And he's rather right-leaning. And his name, by the way, boys and girls and ladies and gentlemen, is Jon Voight. He is the actor Jon Voight. Well, Jon Voight did kind of an open letter, or a statement, as it were, slamming some other celebrities because they came out as being rather anti-Israel. And again, if you go over to BuzzPo, they've got the story here written by Christine. Came out yesterday. And she's got the script of Jon Voight's statement, which is worth reading. He says, "My name is Jon Voight, and I am more than angry. I am heartsick that people like Penelope Cruz and Javier Bardem, never heard of him, could cite anti-Semitism all over the world and are oblivious to the damage they have caused. They're obviously ignorant of the whole story of Israel's birth, when in 1948 the Jewish people were offered by the UN a portion of the land, originally set aside for them in 1921. And the Arab Palestinians were offered the other half. The Arabs rejected the offer, and the Jews accepted, only to be attacked by 5 surrounding Arab countries committed to driving them into the sea, but the Israelis won the war. The Arabs tried it again in 1967, and again in 1973, launching a sneak attack on the holiest Jewish holiday. Interject here, folks, that was called the Yom Kippur War. You can look it up. Each time the Jews prevailed, but not without great loss of life. And when Israel was not fighting a major war, it was defending itself against terrorist campaigns. And yet, Israel has always labored for a peaceful relation with its Arab neighbors. It voluntarily returned to the Sinai Peninsula to Egypt in return for peace, and gave the Palestinians all of Gaza as a peace gesture. What was the response? The Palestinians elected Hamas, a terrorist organization, and they immediately began firing thousands of rockets into Israel. After years of trying to make peace, the wars they had to fight, being attacked by their enemies and still being attacked, and finally, after years of running into bomb shelters and having hundreds of civilians killed by suicide bombers, civilians being killed in their sleep, stabbed to pieces, finding enough is enough and finally retaliating instead of my peers sticking up for the only democratic country in the region, they go and take out poison letters against them. You have forgotten how this war started. Did Hamas not kidnap and kill 3 young teenagers for the sake of killing? And celebrated after the killing? What a travesty of justice. I am asking all my peers who signed that poison letter against Israel to examine their motives. Can you take back the fire of anti-Semitism that is raging all over the world now? You have been able to become famous and have all of your monetary gains because you are in a democratic country, America. Do you think that you would have been able to accomplish this in Iran, Syria, Lebanon, etc.? You had a great responsibility to use your celebrity for good. Instead, you have defamed the only democratic country of goodwill in the Middle East, Israel. You should hang your heads in shame. You should all come forth with deep regrets for what you did and ask forgiveness from the suffering people in Israel. And that, ladies and gentlemen, are the words of Jon Voight. Not mine, but Jon Voight's. And you know, folks, Jon Voight isn't the only Hollywood personality who's come out kind of pro-Israel. I should say kind of, but pro-Israel and right-leaning. You also have James Woods, who's become rather active over the past several months. Kind of a breath of fresh air. You know, when I was younger, I always thought that he was probably an extreme lefty, and it turns out, and I'm very happy to say this, that I was quite wrong. James Woods is right of center, and a rather moral and good guy, pro-Constitution, as well as a few others out there. Adam Baldwin, great guy. When you're talking about Adam Baldwin, you're talking about a guy who can quote many of the Federalist Papers from memory. You know, you have people that haven't even read the Federalist Papers, and he can just rattle off phrases out of them and whole paragraphs out of them. Very erudite gentleman. Yeah, I wonder if his high school was good enough to educate some of his peers just as well as they educated him. And evidently, Adam went and did some self-education as well. But for those that don't know, Adam Baldwin and Joan Cusack and John Cusack all went to the same high school. Same high school that Anne Margaret graduated from, by the way. New Trier High School in Illinois, right in a Chicago suburb. So, kind of food for thought there, off on a little bit of trivia. But, yeah, that letter by Jon Voight, ladies and gentlemen. So don't say that those words came out of my mouth. That was just reading out loud. So, all kinds of eyebrow-raising things going on. Other eyebrow-raising. Well, this isn't so eyebrow-raising. This is more of an about time. As I said, I cruise around and look at other sources that I consider to be rather trusted. So just because they're flat out interesting. And folks, I'm not from Texas, but this little insignificant spot of dirt called Texas has become my home over the last couple of years. But I'm an immigrant to Texas. I emigrated here from Arizona, and even Arizona wasn't my home. That's where I just decided to settle originally when I retired from the military. Really liked the state. I was stationed there for a number of years and liked it a lot. And then moved to Texas, and I've learned to like a lot about Texas too. Anyway, Dana and Chris Lash have also relocated to Texas. And Dana, she relocated, of course, because she joined the Blaze Network on a permanent basis, getting her own show, which was airing on Fridays only. Well, now Dana has some good news. In the very near future, on September 8th, to give you a exact date, coincidentally, that's the day that Congress goes back in session and holds their first round of voting. But on September 8th, the Dana Show will be live every day at 6 p.m. Eastern, that's 5 Central, on the Blaze. So she'll have her live television program every day instead of only Fridays. And she kind of already gave out a little bit of a FAQ, that's frequently asked questions, and of course her answers to some of the questions she was anticipating. And it's interesting, if you go over to danalashradio.com, you can read through this, but I just want to read through a couple of them for you. The first one is, no, that this comes from Dana, not from me. No, I will not start wearing skirt suits or pastels. And folks, if you thought this was coming from me, I'm not going to start wearing skirt suits or pastels either, so not that you can tell from me being on the radio, but I will wear a kilt. And people have pictures to prove that I've done so. Anyway, Dana isn't going to start wearing skirt suits or pastels. Another thing that she wants to let people know is that, yes, this will be a live program. She loves live television. So it means it's going to air, and any faux pas that go on may or may not get caught before it goes live over the air, which could make things really interesting, depending on some of the people she has as guests. Best of luck with that one, Dana. Make sure you have the delay button activated so that you can hit the dump if you have to, whether that's on yourself or if you have Crowder on there and he lets it slip. But Crowder's usually good about that, isn't he? But there's other guests you may have. Imagine if Pierce Morgan went live on the Dana Show. Ooh, that might not be good. But come on, even Hannity has had some slip-ups and hot mics on his show, which have not been the greatest for some of his guests. But everything worked out fine in the end. Another thing that Dana wants you that she wants you to know is that this will not affect her radio program. Obviously, it's affecting mine. It's getting me all tongue-tied as I try to say this. But it will not affect Dana's radio program, which has actually increased its syndication to a number of other areas. And she's going to continue doing the radio show, which is good news for those of you who pick up a radio show, whether it's on the actual radio air broadcast, or if you pick it up via internet. When you get the chance, it's worth listening into. And she also wants to state that the Blaze is hiring. So if you have the talent and everything, they're looking for some talented people and bring in some new people to go along with the expansion and the increase of her show. And the other thing she states, and I have an answer for this one to you there, Dana. It says, if your cable provider doesn't offer the Blaze, call them up and ask them why they hate America and demand it. Folks, I'm not a big advocate of satellite television or cable television. I use an internet-based service, and it's an Apple TV. I'll flat out say that's what I use. And I know there's a couple other devices out there that do similar, but that's the one I've chosen. That's who I have all my accounts with. And Apple TV still does not offer the Blaze. I have written both the Blaze and the Apple TV folks, and it just isn't happening. I haven't even received an answer back from anybody. So Dana, if you happen to listen to my show, which I'm not going to hold my breath on that one